You're nothing without this company. My boss, Jason Webb, laughed as he tossed my resignation letter back across his desk like it was garbage. Who's going to hire a 49-year-old has-been when they can get some young hotshot for half the price? I kept my face neutral, but inside I was thinking about the man I'd been meeting with every Tuesday for the past 4 months. The man whose name would make Jason's cocky grin disappear real fast. But I wasn't ready to play that card yet. "You're probably right," I said, maintaining eye contact. "Thanks for the reality check." That wasn't the reaction he expected. His smile faltered for just a second before he leaned back in his chair, trying to look important. The same chair I should have been sitting in if the promotion process hadn't been rigged from the start. "My name is Roger Hoffman, and until that moment, I was Senior Operations Manager at Hartwell Manufacturing. 22 years I'd worked my way up from floor supervisor, learning every machine, every process, every shortcut that could save time and money. I knew that plant better than my own garage. Jason had been with the company exactly 2 years, fresh MBA, connected family, and a talent for taking credit for other people's work. He'd been my supervisor for the past 18 months. Ever since the restructuring that mysteriously elevated him over 3 more qualified candidates. "I mean, Roger, let's be realistic here," Jason continued, picking up his fancy Mont Blanc pen. "The one that cost more than most guys on the floor made in a week. The manufacturing world is changing. Companies need leadership that understands modern efficiency concepts, not just someone who's been around forever. Modern efficiency concepts. That was rich. The lean manufacturing process I'd developed had cut waste by 34% and saved the company $2.8 million annually. Every board presentation about revolutionary cost savings featured my innovations, with his name attached. "The plant modernization project needs fresh thinking," he said, tapping his pen against my letter. "Not that you were ever really in the running, but I thought you should know it's going to Todd." Todd Brennan, Jason's former college roommate who'd been with the company for exactly 12 weeks. The same Todd who had asked me last month what throughput meant. That position should have been mine. I'd researched that modernization for 10 months, developed a comprehensive 47-page proposal that the board called exceptional. My application had disappeared 3 times from HR files. "I appreciate everything you've taught me," I said, standing up slowly. "This is definitely the right time for me to move on." "Move on to what?" Jason laughed again. "Face it, you're stuck in the past. All that old-school manufacturing knowledge doesn't matter anymore when you don't understand digital integration and automated systems." Digital integration. The guy couldn't explain the difference between predictive maintenance and preventive maintenance if his trust fund depended on it. But I'd let him believe what he wanted. For now. What Jason didn't know was how I'd been spending my lunch breaks for the past 4 months. While he thought I was hitting the company gym or grabbing sandwiches in the break room, I was driving 20 minutes across town to Murphy's Diner on Route 34. Not much to look at from the outside, just a converted railroad car with decent coffee and booths that had seen better days. But that's where I'd been meeting with Harold Pierce. Harold wasn't just some retired guy killing time. He was the former CEO of Pierce Industrial Solutions, a company that had grown from 300 employees to 18,000 under his leadership before he stepped down 2 years ago. When Harold Pierce talked about manufacturing efficiency, people listened. When he offered advice, companies paid 6 figures just for a consultation. Our first meeting had been pure luck. I'd attended a supply chain optimization seminar that most managers avoided because it was too technical and ran on a Saturday. The presenter had covered automated inventory systems, and during the break, I found myself asking questions about integration challenges that apparently nobody else had thought about. "You're thinking about the human factor," an older man said behind me. I turned around to see Harold Pierce himself. I'd seen his picture in Manufacturing Today enough times to recognize him immediately. "Most people focus on the technology," he continued, studying me with sharp gray eyes. "You're considering how the workers will adapt. That tells me you understand manufacturing from the ground up." That conversation led to coffee, then lunch, then regular Tuesday meetings at Murphy's. For 4 months, Harold tested me with increasingly complex scenarios. Factory turnarounds, efficiency bottlenecks, union negotiations, equipment failures. Sometimes I nailed it. Sometimes I didn't have a clue. But he kept coming back. I never mentioned my problems at Hartwell during those meetings. I focused on solutions, practical applications, real-world experience. Harold seemed more interested in how I approached problems than whether I got every answer right. "You see patterns others miss," he told me during our 8th meeting. "And you don't just spot problems, you think through solutions." What I didn't understand was that Harold hadn't actually retired from business. He'd stepped back from day-to-day operations to launch something new, a specialized consulting firm focused on turning around struggling manufacturing operations. He'd been quietly evaluating potential partners for months, looking for someone with the right combination of experience and vision. 2 days before I walked into Jason's office with my resignation letter, Harold made me an offer that changed everything. "I'm starting Pierce Turnaround Solutions," he said over coffee at our usual corner booth. "Small team, big projects, companies that are hemorrhaging money and need someone who actually knows how to stop the bleeding. I want you as my VP of Strategic Innovation." The salary alone was 65% more than what Hartwell was paying me. Add in the equity stake and performance bonuses, and I was looking at more money than I'd ever thought possible. But the real appeal was getting to actually implement my ideas instead of watching someone else take credit for them. "Why me?" I asked. "You could get any consultant in the region." Harold's answer was simple. "Because when you see a better way to do something, you don't just complain about the current system. You figure out how to build a better one." The deal with Harold required complete confidentiality until the public announcement. That meant 2 weeks of walking around Hartwell knowing I had a golden parachute while everyone thought I was committing career suicide. The day after I resigned, Jason sent me an email that made me laugh out loud. "When you fail out there, don't come crawling back. This company doesn't rehire quitters." I didn't bother responding. Instead, I spent those final weeks doing something I'd never done before, actually helping my replacement succeed. Steve Coleman was a good guy, 15 years of solid experience, and he deserved better than being thrown to the wolves with no guidance. "Here's the real story on the throughput optimization," I told Steve during one of our handover sessions. "The official documentation makes it look simple, but there are 3 critical adjustments nobody talks about." I showed him the actual process modifications I'd developed, not the watered-down version in the company manuals. The tricks for handling equipment downtime. The real maintenance schedules that prevented costly breakdowns. Everything Jason would never bother to teach him. "Why are you telling me this?" Steve asked. "Most guys would just hand over the keys and walk away." "Because you're going to need every advantage you can get," I said, "and because this stuff works. I'd hate to see it get lost just because management doesn't understand it." The truth was, helping Steve felt good. For the first time in months, I was sharing knowledge without worrying about someone else taking credit for it. No politics, no games, just one experienced guy helping another. Meanwhile, my Tuesday meetings with Harold continued, but now we were talking specifics. Pierce Turnaround Solutions had secured its first 3 clients, all manufacturing companies struggling with efficiency problems that sounded familiar. "Rockford Industries is hemorrhaging money on their main production line," Harold explained during our 17th meeting. "Throughput is down 22% from last year, scrap rates are climbing, and their management team keeps throwing technology at problems that need hands-on solutions." I'd heard this story before. Companies that thought new software or expensive equipment could fix fundamental process issues. It never worked that way. "What's their workforce situation?" I asked. "Experienced crew, but morale is shot. New plant manager came in 6 months ago with big theories about optimization. Started changing procedures that had worked fine for years. Now nobody trusts anything management says. Classic. Some MBA deciding that workers with 20 years of experience didn't know their jobs. The floor supervisors probably have the real solutions," I said. "They just need someone to listen to them." Harold smiled. "That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. When can you start?" My last day at Hartwell was a Friday afternoon in late September. I cleaned out my desk while most people had already left for the weekend. 22 years of work life fit into 2 cardboard boxes. Some personal photos, a coffee mug my daughter had given me for Father's Day, and a few technical manuals I'd bought with my own money. Walking through those empty hallways for the last time, I felt lighter than I had in years. No more watching Jason take credit for my work, no more pretending to respect his modern management philosophy, no more biting my tongue during meetings where he spouted buzzwords he didn't understand. My phone buzzed as I loaded the boxes into my truck. A text from Amy Rodriguez, one of the few people in the office I trusted. "Heard about your resignation. Jason's been telling everyone you couldn't handle the pressure of modern manufacturing. Just wanted you to know, some of us don't buy it. I texted back, thanks. Take care of yourself. Monday morning, I walked into the temporary offices Harold had rented for Pierce Turnaround Solutions. Nothing fancy, just a converted warehouse space with good natural light and enough room for our team of 6. Harold had assembled an interesting group, a lean manufacturing specialist from Toyota, a union relations expert with 25 years of labor negotiations, a quality control engineer who'd turned around 3 different plants, and 2 process improvement analysts who actually understood how factories worked. "Welcome to the team," Harold said as he introduced me to everyone. "Roger's going to be leading our client implementations. He's the guy who'll be on-site making sure our solutions actually work in the real world." For the first time in years, I was working with people who respected experience instead of dismissing it. Nobody cared about office politics or who got credit for what idea. We were focused on one thing, helping struggling companies fix their problems. Our first project was Rockford Industries, and it was everything Harold had described. The plant manager, a guy named Peterson, had an MBA from Northwestern and theories about everything. He'd implemented 4 different software systems in 6 months, reorganized the production floor twice, and changed quality procedures that had worked fine for decades. "We're leveraging best practices from multiple industries," Peterson explained during our initial meeting. "Synergistic approaches to optimize workflow dynamics." I nodded politely while thinking about the floor supervisors who probably wanted to strangle him. The real story came out during my first day walking the production line. I spent 8 hours talking to the workers, the guys who actually ran the machines, handled the materials, dealt with the daily problems. Within 2 hours, I had a clear picture of what was wrong. "The new quality checklist takes 3 times longer than the old one," explained Maria Santos, a line supervisor with 18 years of experience. "Same results, but now we spend more time filling out forms than fixing actual problems. And the new scheduling system doesn't account for change over time," added Rick Morrison, the senior technician. "Computer says we can switch product lines in 15 minutes. Reality is 45 minutes minimum if you want to do it right." These weren't lazy workers complaining about change. These were experienced professionals being forced to follow procedures that made their jobs harder and less effective. It was exactly what I'd expected to find. That evening, I called Harold from my hotel room. "I know what's wrong here and I know how to fix it, but Peterson isn't going to like it." "What do you need?" Harold asked. "A meeting with the plant owner, and permission to be completely honest about what I found." The meeting with Rockford's owner, William Rockford Jr., happened 2 days later in his corner office overlooking the production floor. Harold and I sat across from him while Peterson fidgeted in the chair next to us, probably sensing this wasn't going to go well for him. "Tell me what you found," Rockford said. He was 62 years old, built the company from nothing, and had the no-nonsense attitude of someone who'd actually worked on factory floors. I laid out the situation plainly. "Your production issues aren't equipment problems or worker problems, they're process problems. The new procedures are slowing everything down and creating confusion where none existed before." Peterson jumped in immediately. "That's not accurate. We've implemented industry best practices that should optimize—" "Let him finish," Rockford cut him off. "Go ahead, Roger. Your line supervisors know exactly what's wrong," I continued. "The quality checklist that used to take 5 minutes now takes 20 minutes and doesn't catch any more defects. The scheduling software doesn't account for real-world changeover times. Your experienced workers are spending more time on paperwork than actual production." I pulled out my notes from the floor interviews. Maria Santos has been running Line 3 for 18 years. She knows that line better than anyone in this building, but the new procedures don't let her use that knowledge. Same with Rick Morrison on equipment maintenance. These people want to do good work, but they're being forced to follow processes that make no sense. Rockford leaned forward. "What would you do differently? Go back to the core processes that worked, but add the technology as support instead of replacement. Keep the quality standards, but streamline the documentation. Trust your experienced people to make decisions about their own work areas." Peterson looked like he'd swallowed something sour. "That's a very simplistic approach to complex operational challenges. Sometimes simple is what works," I said. "Your throughput numbers don't lie. You were running more efficiently 8 months ago with less technology and fewer procedures." Rockford was quiet for a long moment, looking out at his factory floor. "How long to implement your recommendations?" 6 weeks for full implementation. You should see improvements in the first 2 weeks. Do it, Rockford said. Peterson, you'll provide full support to Roger's team. Peterson's face went red, but he nodded. The next 6 weeks flew by. Working directly with the floor supervisors and experienced workers, we stripped away the unnecessary complications and rebuilt the processes around practical efficiency. No buzzwords, no revolutionary theories, just common-sense improvements based on how the work actually got done. The results spoke for themselves. By week 4, throughput was up 28%. Scrap rates dropped to their lowest levels in 2 years. Worker satisfaction surveys showed dramatic improvement. Most importantly, the changes were sustainable because they made sense to the people doing the work. Harold was impressed. The client is talking about expanding our contract to cover their other 2 facilities. Word is getting around about what we accomplished here. That's when things got interesting. 7 weeks after my departure from Hartwell, the industry announcement hit every major manufacturing publication on the same day. Pierce Turnaround Solutions launches with proven results read the headline in Manufacturing Today. The article included quotes from Rockford Industries about their efficiency improvements and featured a photo of Harold and me standing on their production floor. According to Amy Rodriguez, who still worked at Hartwell, Jason was in the middle of a board presentation when the news broke. Patricia Lewis, one of the board members, slid her tablet across the table with the article displayed. Amy texted me later. Jason's face went completely white. He stumbled through the rest of his presentation about innovative efficiency improvements, which were basically your old proposals with his name on them. Board looked confused about why he was claiming credit for outdated ideas when you were out there doing cutting-edge work. That same afternoon, my phone rang. Jason's name on the caller ID Roger. Congratulations on your new venture, he said, his voice trying to sound friendly. Quite an accomplishment. I always knew you had potential. I almost laughed. Thanks, Jason. What can I do for you? Well, I've been thinking about our time working together. There might be opportunities for collaboration between our companies. Perhaps we could meet for lunch, discuss some ideas. What kind of ideas? Nothing specific yet. Just thought it might be valuable to share perspectives on modern manufacturing trends. Your new position gives you a different view of the industry. Translation. He wanted to figure out how to get some reflected glory from my success. That's thoughtful of you, but we're pretty busy with current projects right now. Of course, maybe sometime in the future. By the way, I noticed your article mentioned efficiency improvements. Some of those concepts sound familiar from work we did together at Hartwell. There it was, the setup for claiming partial credit. Which concepts specifically? I asked. Silence for a few seconds. Well, just the general approach to operational optimization. Some of the methodologies we explored in team meetings. I don't recall any team meetings where you contributed operational methodologies, Jason. But maybe my memory is off. More silence. Right, well, I should probably let you get back to work. Congratulations again. After he hung up, I felt that familiar anger starting to build. Even now, even after I'd moved on to something better, he was trying to muscle in on my success. But this time was different. This time I had backup. 2 weeks later, Manufacturing Weekly published an interview with Jason that made my blood boil. He claimed that fundamental efficiency concepts used by Pierce Turnaround Solutions had been initially developed through collaborative efforts at Hartwell Manufacturing. While the specific applications have evolved, Jason was quoted as saying, "The core methodologies originated from strategic planning sessions I led with my team last year." My phone exploded with messages from former Hartwell colleagues. Some expressed outrage. Others asked if there was any truth to Jason's claims. Harold forwarded me the article with a simple question mark. I stared at those words until my hands started shaking. This wasn't just about personal credit anymore. Jason was publicly undermining the credibility of our company and our clients' results. If potential customers believed we were just repackaging stolen ideas, our reputation would be destroyed before we really got started. Harold called an emergency meeting with our whole team. Legal says we can send a cease and desist letter, but that might create more publicity for his claims. No, I said, and I could hear the edge in my own voice. That's exactly what he wants, to force us into a public fight where he can keep making his claims. We need a different approach. What do you have in mind? Harold asked. I looked around the room at my teammates, people who respected experience, who understood that good work speaks louder than politics. I want to invite Jason to our next client presentation. Let him explain his core methodologies in front of people who actually understand manufacturing. The industry conference was scheduled for 3 weeks later at the Regional Manufacturing Center. Harold had been invited to present our turnaround methodology to an audience of plant managers, operations directors, and company owners. It was the perfect stage for what I had in mind. I called Jason personally to extend the invitation. We're presenting our efficiency approach at the regional conference next month. Given your public comments about the origins of these methodologies, I thought you might want to attend. That's very generous of you, Roger, he said, and I could hear the smugness in his voice. I'd be happy to provide context about the foundational work we did together. Perfect. Harold has agreed to give you 10 minutes to share your perspective on the development process. There was a pause. 10 minutes to present? That seems short for such complex material. Should be plenty of time to cover the core concepts you mentioned in your interview. Looking forward to hearing your insights. The next 3 weeks felt like the longest of my life. We prepared our presentation meticulously, knowing that our credibility was on the line. But I had something else prepared too, something Jason didn't know about. The day of the conference, about 120 manufacturing professionals filled the auditorium. I spotted Jason in the third row, dressed in his expensive suit, looking confident and relaxed. He had no idea what was coming. Harold opened with our company overview, then introduced me. Roger Hoffman will walk you through our methodology, followed by implementation results from our first major client. I spent 25 minutes explaining our approach, not the buzzword-heavy version that consultants usually peddle, but the practical nuts and bolts process that actually worked. I covered worker engagement, process simplification, technology integration done right, and results measurement that mattered. The audience was engaged, asking technical questions that showed they understood manufacturing from the ground up. These weren't MBA theorists. These were people who'd spent decades solving real problems on factory floors. When I finished, Harold introduced Jason. We have a special perspective today from Jason Webb, Operations Director at Hartwell Manufacturing, who has claimed that fundamental elements of our approach originated from collaborative work at his company. Jason walked to the podium looking pleased with himself. Thank you for the opportunity to share some background on the development of these concepts. He launched into a vague presentation about innovative thinking and strategic collaboration, carefully avoiding any specific technical details. After 5 minutes of corporate speak, he seemed to be wrapping up. That's when I stood up. Jason, could you be more specific about which elements your team developed? The audience would benefit from understanding the technical foundations you're referring to. His confident smile flickered. Well, the overall strategic approach to operational optimization. Could you explain your team's role in developing the quality control streamlining process? That seems to be getting a lot of attention from our clients. Jason's face went slightly red. The specific technical implementations have evolved since our initial work. What about the worker engagement protocols? You mentioned collaborative development. Which aspects did your team contribute? The room was completely silent now. Every manufacturing professional in that audience could tell the difference between someone who understood the work and someone who was bluffing. Jason fumbled through generic statements about teamwork and innovation but avoided any concrete claims. With each evasion, his credibility visibly crumbled. That's when Harold stepped in for the killing blow. While Jason organizes his thoughts, I'd like to share something with the group. He clicked his remote and the screen lit up with a timeline showing the development of our methodology, complete with dated documentation of every concept and test implementation. Before approaching Roger about joining our company, I conducted extensive research into manufacturing talent in our region. That process included conversations with board members from several companies, including Patricia Lewis from Hartwell Manufacturing. I felt my stomach drop. Harold had never told me this part. Patricia was particularly concerned about unused potential within her organization. She provided copies of internal proposals as examples of innovative thinking that wasn't being properly supported. The screen now showed copies of my original proposals to Hartwell, the ones Jason had rejected and buried. Every idea that formed the foundation of our current success, complete with Jason's handwritten comments in the margins. Comments like, too complex for our current workforce and unrealistic implementation timeline. The same concepts that were now generating millions in savings for our clients. Jason's face went from red to pale gray. Those were internal documents. They were part of collaborative discussions. Indeed, they were internal, Harold agreed. which makes your public claim to have developed these concepts particularly interesting, given that your own written feedback rejected them as impractical. The audience was riveting quiet. You could have heard a pin drop in that auditorium. Jason tried to recover. Context is important in those documents. We were exploring different approaches. Could you walk us through your exploration process? I asked, moving closer to the front. Specifically, how you evaluated the throughput optimization methodology before rejecting it. And that's when Jason made his fatal mistake. Instead of admitting he didn't understand the technical details, he tried to bluff his way through an explanation of lean manufacturing principles. Within 30 seconds, it was obvious to everyone in the room that he had no idea what he was talking about. The questions started coming from the audience, technical questions that any operations manager should have been able to answer. Jason stumbled through responses that made less sense with each attempt. After 10 agonizing minutes, Harold mercifully called time. Thank you, Jason. I think we have a clear picture of the collaborative development process. Jason practically ran from the stage. He left the conference without speaking to anyone. The response was immediate. 3 companies approached us about consulting contracts before we'd even packed up our presentation materials. The story spread through industry networks within days. 2 weeks later, Amy Rodriguez texted me with news from Hartwell. Jason's been placed on administrative leave. Board brought in an outside consultant to review operational decisions. Patricia Lewis specifically mentioned your proposals as examples of missed opportunities. 6 months later, Pierce Turnaround Solutions had more client requests than we could handle. My equity stake was worth more than I'd made in 5 years at Hartwell. Most importantly, I was working with people who valued experience and honesty. Jason landed at a smaller company across town, no longer claiming credit for innovations he'd never understood. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemy. It's succeeding so completely that their lies become irrelevant. At 49, I learned that starting over isn't about age or politics or who you know. It's about doing good work and finding the right people to do it with.